Hello, everybody out there in comic book land. My name is George Serrano, aka The Don. And if you're listening to this, you can only be here for one reason, and that's a brand new episode of the Major Issues podcast, brought to you by Comic Book Clique. As always, I am never alone. Sir, if you could please introduce yourself.
We're back at it again. Cloudus Maximus in the building for another episode.
Another episode. Do you know this is the 300th episode of this podcast?
Yes, I do.
That's 300 sets of notes. That's 300 edits, 300 descriptions,
300 clap cues,
300 clap cues, 300 schedules, reschedules. We'd probably be at like 305 if any of the podcasts that got deleted were around. We'd be breaking the 300 count.
Those nights for not.
But Cloudus Maximus, you've been on this podcast since the very beginning, since episode 1, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I just been kind of feeling a bit blah. I think
I'm not gonna lie to you. I wanted to ask you, but I wasn't gonna say anything until you said something. What's so blue, sir?
It's just like, it's one of those things where I've been so tunnel visioned. I've been so deep in the notes and just the overall progression of the Major Issues podcast and ComicBookClique.com and Comic Book Clique in general, that it's like I love everything we do, but right. I don't know if everyone loves everything we do. And not that this needs to be loved by everyone, but sometimes right. I wonder if anyone besides me gets any enjoyment of this, because I don't think this is a surprise. I've been on the most episodes of the Major Issues podcast.
All of them, all the episodes,
I've been on the most episodes. So 300 episodes, I feel like I'm a little bit in the tunnel, and so like,
sir, are you questioning your worthiness?
I'm questioning the worthiness of this effort that is given here, because while our numbers work, while people are so great at rating and reviewing the podcast online and all that kind of stuff, I just don't know. I don't know if I don't see it. I don't know if I don't feel it. It's been 300 episodes. We've been doing it for a long time, so maybe I just can't, again, see it.
You know what it is? I think you need to step back into some of your roots. I think you need to put on the little Captain America mask, I should have that little Halloween Iron Man mask, should have threw that on for this episode,
That's old school comic book click stuff. That's before the Major Issues podcast was even a thing. The year Comic Book Clique is born, we covered every Spider-Man, every Captain America, and every Iron Man movie in preparation for Civil War. Did that not seem weird to you that I was going live at the time doing some of this stuff?
I mean, real time is cool. Real time is cool.
Yeah.
One of my other favorite things for the podcast actually is I'm a fan of the little things when it comes to certain things. But the opener of the show after every brought to you by Comic Book Clique.
Oh, yes.
That's been since the beginning, bro.
Fun fact, I made that beat in my music producer phase of my life, where I thought that that's all I wanted to do was make beats, and I wanted to make something that was a bit like chopped and screwed, like slower with more bass in it. And then we put out the podcast, and I was like, oh my God, we're gonna need music for it. And I knew no one could sue me for this because I made it.
Because you made it.
So I snagged it up and I put it on, and now I can't hear it without thinking of this. I can't hear.
Well, listen, you made that, and you also made this, baby. So
That's true. I love that. We were able to bring in people. I now have lifelong friends that because of this podcast, because we've asked people, sometimes begged people to be on to cover certain subjects. I love the cross-pollination when you're able to get on an episode with, like, let's say Yogi or
Oh man,
GT or.
those are my favorite episodes. Love it when we all come together. I'm a sucker for that. So
But I
any
almost wonder, would we be in the same conversation if it wasn't for the podcast? So I think that's pretty cool. If
Yeah,
I'm looking
that
at
is pretty
things that.
cool. And to touch back on the Civil War stuff, dude, you remember getting started, having a talk, the cosmic knowledge talk, as I like to ask.
Yeah,
We're still trying to figure out
we're still
which
debating.
was
Yep.
debating which was which, but the cosmic knowledge was damn sure a thing. And you just, bro, I thought I had new stuff at the time when we were having that conversation, and you just took that ball and ran with it, dude, to the point where
Yeah.
you were offering me like, yo, did you read this? Did you read that? Bro, you got me one of my first comics. You had gotten me the first Civil War comic before we had covered it in
Yeah.
preparation to cover. And I'm not a big fan of reading things online, but that's one of the things I was gonna have to read online to do homework on when it came to the podcast for that episode for the Civil War comic to prepare for the Civil War movie. You
Yeah.
know, so so I just remember coming to HQ and you just dropping that bad boy right on my lap, and that got me started. That I read that, and then I ended up getting the Spider-Man story from right between that, just to see what Peter
Yeah.
was doing.
Yeah. You've gifted me Death of Captain America, which was huge and great. I love that story. And Thor. Yeah, I got the post Jason Aaron Thor, which was really really cool. Him and
Hmm.
Galactus.
Hmm.
So we've definitely shared some comics. I like to think about. There's times where we are able to get on this podcast and get really analytical. There's times we're able to get on this podcast and talk about the deeper and more possibly ignored themes and traits that certain of these books or these films will have. And sometimes we get on the podcast and just absolutely have a love fest. Can you remember when we did Spider Verse? That was just all us going, oh my
Going
God, wasn't it
crazy.
cool when this
Oh my
happened? Wasn't
goodness.
this great? Wasn't this amazing when this happened? I look back at that episode as like, there's no
Yeah, just
analysis there. There's
just
just, it's
Google,
just
yeah, Google Gagaing over the first Spider-Verse movie, man, bro.
the entire time, coming through and doing Infinity War when we didn't know that people were gonna feel like that it was gonna leave
Hmm.
people devastated. So we had to come
Devastated.
and do a therapy session, uh, uh, you know, trying to walk people through roads that. And listen, I'm gonna take this way back. Like one of the reasons why Comic Book Click is a thing, we hit a very. It was almost like the crossed or like destiny in the sense that 2016 is a crazy year for comic books and comic book media. Not only is the Arrowverse going in full force, and not only do we have Marvel Netflix going on, we're ramping up to Civil War, which means we're ramping up eventually to Infinity War and Endgame.
Hmm.
Um, DC just is getting ready to do Fandom. The comics are getting ready to do Rebirth, which is opening up that whole apparatus there. But the way we egged each other on for Civil War for
Oh
months.
man, I remember. I still get memories on Facebook sometimes, and I look at the comments, and I'm just like, holy crap, we used to like.
I feel like us going back and forth. I was Team Cap, you were Team Iron Man.
Choose a
I can
side.
honestly say, I can honestly say that our arguments made me a bigger fan of Cap, and I want to say that our arguments made you probably a bigger fan of Tony.
Yeah, of course. Hell yeah, bro. Hell yeah.
As we came around, and then our insistence once we figured out, wait a minute, the only reason why they asked us lost in Infinity War because they wasn't on the same page. It was like, you know what? It's all dead. It's over with.
But not only that, we even after that, we were still arguing about whose side was right, whose
Yeah,
side was wrong.
yeah. I still give shit to my ex roommate about Tony Stark, but I think of us watching tribute videos in the basement
Oh
of
man, bro.
of supercuts of the MCU and where it was gonna go. people think that the Major Issues podcast is a hype machine sometimes for certain these properties or these releases. There was no more hype machine than HQ. Before
Hmm.
we got on the mics, we were already hyping things up, getting
As it
excited
is.
about things. We sat in theaters elbowing each other over certain films, certain plot points. It's I I'm feeling a bit better
So,
about Major
yo, we're on the right track right now. I
a
like
little bit.
this.
Yeah, I'm feeling a bit better about this. Eh, If I would have been in a better headspace for this episode, maybe it could have been a celebration of sorts. Maybe I could have had time to invite all the people who've been on or the people who've been on the most on this podcast, and we really could have kind of figured out what they thought about their experiences or the topics that we covered and stuff. I mean, not to say I'm not grateful to have you here, the man who was on the very first episode, and think about this. If I don't have a co-host, the podcast doesn't happen. And you could have totally been like, I don't want to fucking talk for, for an hour about listen, the first episode is Crisis on Earth X, right?
Hmm.
And the Infinity War trailer. If you wanna see where our fandom was, you can go back to the first episode of this podcast and listen to us and about Infinity
Oh.
War. The intro and outro to this podcast has become a thing where it's been basically the same for so long that now when I listen to an older episode that doesn't have it, I'm like, what are you doing, George? Get on it. Where's the rhythm? You're staying quiet for too long. Move it along. But I think we've just, in all honesty, we've grown behind these um behind these microphones, in front of one another. And it's been great to watch us and our tastes and all that stuff change. Us get really mad about things and then not mad about
Hmm.
other things. Um, it's been a real pleasure. I just wish there was some sort of way to incorporate more people into this because Major Issues podcast wouldn't have gone so far if it wasn't for all the volunteers that we've had
You know,
be a part of
it's
this.
it's funny you say that because I was gonna mention something earlier, and you kind of met me halfway with this just now. I may have something for you. You know what I'm saying? To get you around town, so to speak.
Something for me? I mean, I
Um,
drive, but how the heck am I supposed to get
let me
to
see my
places like Ohio, California,
let me see
even back to New York?
my bag of tricks. Let me.
That's a pretty large bag. What are all those symbols and stuff on it? That seems a little
Hmm.
weird.
Let's see. Ah, interesting. So,
So,
what I'm about to give you, it cannot be, it cannot leave this space. Granted, it'll leave with you along your journey,
okay, okay,
right? And
right.
since you mentioned the peeps, I figured, you can basically drop in on the major issues CBC brethren to, take a stroll down memory lane with not only just myself, but the rest of the cast, GT, um, Yogi, um,
I mean, it
Danielson, you know,
sounds great, but how the heck am I supposed to do all that and all that on short notice?
just drop it on the guys. Well, I don't know if you get, I don't know if you get, can you get, sick from going through one of these? I don't know, but you
What
about to find out.
is
Um,
is that what I
but
think you have on your hand?
indeed, not only is it on my hand, I want it to be on your hands, good sir.
It looks like that weird Doctor Strange ring thing that
Hey,
makes
hey,
the
no Doctor
sparklers.
Strange. Show this thing some respect. You know what time it is, and you know what to do with this. Just give it a shot. I just hope the rest of the guys aren't doing anything embarrassing when you.
I just listen. Okay, so okay, I tell you that I'm not in the mood for this particular podcast,
Uh-huh.
and your answer to that is to give me a piece of jewelry so I can pretend to attempt to talk to anybody else. I don't buy it.
Oh
I like
no,
to
you
if I
this
can have the
this ain't no
ring.
pretend. You're gonna step through. You're gonna take this sling ring, good sir, and you're
All
gonna pop
right.
in on the rest of the boys. All right?
Well, it kind of fits. what am I supposed to sana sana
Just
colita no? What am I supposed
little something like that, a little bit of something of that nature. But just think about where you want to go and who you want to go to. You know,
Huh.
listen, it's not gonna
Um
it's gonna work the same way you've seen it work a million times. It's just you haven't been able to, just
okay, okay. Well, I'll try it. I'll try anything once. That's the whole reason why this podcast even exists. I will put the rings on. So I'm supposed to just what think of somebody else and sort of envision and just head over there. Am I supposed
yep.
to just move my
Anybody,
hand like this?
any of the worthy boys, you know, just drop
All
in on
right.
them.
Well, if I die in this whole situation, because I don't know if this is gonna work, and who knows, this whole thing might take away my testicles, and I love my testicles. But if for any reason I am maimed, harmed, or disappear, I need you to clear all of my browser history.
You want me to clear your
Got
browser
me?
history? I got you.
All of my browser. I have so many browsers. The computer, the phone. It's a whole thing. Get just get rid of all that kind of stuff. Um, I appreciate you helping me out here. Uh,
Dude, just cover your
if
eyes.
I,
It
if
gets sparkly, you know?
if also if I don't come back, is there anything you want to say to finish out
Oh,
how you
you're gonna
feel
come
about the
back.
podcast?
I need the sling ring back. I too
That's
traveled.
true. That's true. That's true. All right, you have a lot of faith in me, bro. You have a lot
I
of
do.
faith.
You're the reason why we're here, baby.
Aw, well, there's only one way to see if this is gonna work. Let me go ahead and I guess oh, there's a portal opening. This
Oh,
thing is working. I guess I will see you later. I'm walking through. Oh, what the heck? Oh, that's a lot of smoke. Where the hell am I? Dan? Is that you?
G- George. George, it is
Uh,
definitely Dan the comic book man.
Hi, Dan, the comic book man. Listen, I know that none of this is making sense right now, but basically, I was doing episode 300 with Cloudus Maximus, and I was kind of telling him that I wasn't really 100% in the mood for it. And I mean, basically, the regular, not wanting to exist sort of, don't know how much, how helpful the podcast is, the regular kind of stuff. And he gave me this sling ring and he told me to go around and ask people who's been on the podcast their favorite memories and stuff that they love talking about while being on here. I guess you should feel delighted. This is the first place it took me.
Oh, well, I mean, he knew what he was giving you then. He knew why he was giving you that sling ring. Of course, I would love to talk about my favorite memories in all the years of this beautiful podcast with you.
I That sounds like fun, but do you mind coming with me? I wanna see if I can bring somebody with
Well,
me
well, if
while I
it's
go on
safe,
this journey. I don't know if it's safe. I told
I'm
him
not
to
gonna get
tell
like
to
cancer or
cle-
nothing, right?
I don't know. I told him to clear my browser history in case any of that happened. So, I mean, if you got nothing to lose,
I
are you
have
down?
nothing to lose. Let's do this.
So tell me if I just think about it and I move my hand in a particular. I guess. Whoa! Boom. It feels hot again. Am I back in Florida? B Roke.
What the hell are you two doing in my room?
I don't know, but put on some pants. This is you have company now. We're
Listen, it's Florida. We wear sandals and maybe t-shirts, okay?
that's true. I'm a bit overdressed, but
Not
that's because I
baby
didn't.
t-shirts.
B Roke, I guess you. Welcome to the 300th episode of the Major Issues Podcast. You have a lovely home, by the way.
I appreciate it.
But long story short, I'm just trying to get some of the best co-hosts who've been a part of Major Issues Podcast to kind of talk about, how they discovered the podcast, the favorite episodes they've been on, maybe some episodes they haven't been on. And I decided to bring Dan along from the ride. I know you two have a long history, and it quite possibly could be the origin of all this. So, I mean, if you don't mind, are you down?
Let me put some pants on. I appreciate
Okay.
that you thought of me. but
Yeah,
to
I'm
think of
actually
me in this
surprised.
sense, you know,
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing you in a whole nother light, to be honest, right now.
yeah. So I'm flattered. I'm flattered, and of course, I would love to join you as soon as I zip up
Yeah,
here.
yeah, you go ahead and do that. I'm not even gonna mention the lotion on the nightstand, but that's hey, you get hot in Florida. Gotta
It does.
moisturize.
It does. It does. It definitely does. But yeah, let's go on this journey. What are we talking about here? Episode 300. Mm.
Episode 300. Do you remember how you found us? Do you remember your first memories
I,
of this
I'm
podcast?
this podcast, as you said, found me, and that is one of my most favorite memories that I still cherish. For some reason, I left some sort of impression upon our comic book man Dan way back when I had the audacity to attempt to educate him. And
No. There's no audacity. Don't be coy, sir. Don't be coy. This man let me borrow books upon books. We watched Hulk versus. He's explained many things to me. He's the reason why I know that after the death of Gwen Stacy, they changed Peter Parker's personality and made him a different kind of, being,
Yeah.
which would help me later in the future understand like Andrew Garfield's monologue when he's like, when Gwen died, I became more vengeful. I stopped pulling my punches. I'm like, I've known that since high school because of one book,
Context is key. Yeah. Yeah.
because of you.
I
You
Yeah.
appreciate it.
you are my mentor. You will always be my comic book mentor, sir.
Well, and that's why I loved when I reached out to you to want to talk about just the idea of starting something like this, and you basically said, "Why don't you just join us?" And I remember even before that when he had told me about what you guys would do, and I just would watch some of your YouTube videos, the best of the year stuff, where George would dress up as a circus ringmaster. It was awesome, and seeing you guys do your performances and your reviews, I said this is great. And then to be able to jump on, it's been a blast. The last couple of years has been a blast, and it's been an absolute pleasure to do this.
You was your first episode Future State?
I want to say yes.
No,
No, I
what?
feel like there was one before.
No, I could have sworn there was one that the three of us did together.
It might have been Daredevil.
The
Was
series
Daredevil
or
before
the film?
the movie where we
We did do the film.
Yes,
Yes, we did do
yes,
the film.
yeah.
That's quite interesting.
No, I mean we've covered, even in the short time that I've been with you guys, we've covered a lot. And look, I'm gonna put just the way Dan blew me up. We got to give it up to George. Except for the fact that he apparently
Aw.
has this voyeurism to him that led him into my room.
They said
Um,
think about they said think really hard.
George, seriously, the Don, and there's a reason we call you the Don. Thank you. Not many podcasts have 300 episodes. This is on your back. This is your baby. This is your groove, and you have put out marvelous content to get to 300. You've pulled in so many different minds. You just uplift us. You keep us on track. And thank you for just letting us take this ride with you. And just as you like to tell the world, I'm going to tell you are worthy. Thank you.
Aw, thank you for that. I remember when you first got on the podcast, I was like very knowledgeable, dropping jokes about things that you would only know if you've read or you've seen it. You could have actually me to death because your knowledge of this stuff is 10 times more than mine. But instead, you kind of led not only myself but this podcast, and even I guess by the nature of the podcast, everybody listening to a whole nother avenue to enjoy comics, which is some of the lesser known or more independent publications
You
that we've
want to
covered here.
know Alex's staple on the podcast itself without him even knowing? Our episode on the alcoholic. The rabbit hole that would be able to go down is I would have never even known about that book if he didn't take me to Grasshopper Comics.
and grab up that book?
Yep. And that's the book I found. It was I don't know why I grabbed it, but it was on a trip with him to one of his favorite comic stores.
Ah, it's a
Yeah, and the
gateway
funny
drug,
thing,
isn't it?
and well, and it's a that's a funny story in of itself. You know, the school where I was teaching Dan at, and we go to this comic shop. The store owner, Mr. John Riley, we love you, thank you. Um, we bring him to the shop, and I'm trying to keep everybody in a kind of a line, you know, because these are all
Hmm.
teenagers, you know, before the age, some around 18, you know, but still, I'm representing a school, so I'm walking into this comic shop, and I'm basically, all right, guys, try to stay in the Spider-Mans, the Daredevils, you know, the rated teen plus.
Yeah.
Of course, everybody's favorite comic book man over here. He ventures off and goes, Alex, what about this? The alcoholic. And I'm like, how do I explain him buying this book when we get
It's just the
back
whole thing is I was
to
like
the school?
18. That's the whole thing. I was still 18.
But I'm still in charge of you,
I
man.
know. I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. I
So,
mean, it could
so
have been worse. You could have came with an actual beer, right? And been like, hey, we can
well,
be.
right, but the funny thing was, no, I still tried to stop him. I was like, you shouldn't really get this, and you were like, I got my own money, and I said, well, I can't stop commerce, so I
Right.
just basically turned the
And
blind
it was
eye.
like $14 and I had a 20. I'm like, nah, if I have the money, I'm buying this.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm literally staring at your copy. I never gave it back to you. You lent after you read it. You lent it to me, and I just never have
Oh,
handed it back to you.
I always wondered what happened to that.
No, I can literally see it on my bookshelf right now, sir.
You know what? I'm glad. I'm glad. That is a memory that I'm glad you have.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
pretty. That's
So
pretty cool.
yeah,
I
and I
I did
and I.
some math. Oh, I just wanted to say real quick. I did some math.
Oof, oof.
Um,
Are you okay?
yeah, it's hard for me, but I got it this far. 162, episode 162 is Daredevil. Episode 173 is Future State. So if you were on the Daredevil film, then yes, that predates all of this. And I think I remember you even saying that, like, I hope to cover something I like, or like I hope to cover something good, somewhere down the line, which was pretty funny. But at 162, that's roughly halfway on this entire journey to 300. It may
That's
not feel
crazy.
like it,
It
but
doesn't.
yeah, you've been on this journey halfway alongside us this entire time. Um, me and Dan met on a playground talking about Nightwing and the Joker, and then I managed to get him on this because his love of film, and I wanted him to kind of expound on all that. We were able to create the Which Was Worse series, which is basically now probably just us yelling at each other for two to sometimes 3 hours, depending on the subject at play. It's something I've never done with anyone else. I don't plan to do it with anyone else. It was fun to create that sort of avenue, because we could just sit
We
here and
definitely
talk
have
about
to bring it
something.
back for an anniversary.
Yeah, yeah. And there's been a lot of bad stuff out recently, so
Oh,
I can
plenty,
see, yeah,
plenty.
I can see us doing that. Um, and it's funny because we some of the backstage conversations behind Which Was Worse might be possibly even better than the actual episodes because we'll pick these two projects and sometimes it's like I know exactly what I want to defend and Dan will know exactly what he wants to defend, and other times it'd be like these are both terrible, like maybe we should flip a coin, and then it really becomes like pulling teeth. There's been episodes where the film that Dan is defending he doesn't want to defend, and about three-fourths in he'll just be like, yeah, it sucks. It was terrible. It was a terrible movie.
There's just some movies that I know I can't defend. But then the beautiful part about Which Was Worse is there were some movies that I didn't expect to love, like Trial of the Incredible Hulk is to me
Yeah.
a great film. It is great.
Yeah, I learned to find the silver linings in most bad media. Because at the end of the day, even though some of these things might be cash grabs, there are real people working behind the scenes. There are real people working in the writing and directing and the costume designing. And not all of them are, you know, in it just for the check. There's sometimes passion, even in the worst properties. Do any episodes come to mind, Dan, that you were on that you can remember? Any major issues, moments uh, since your time being on the podcast? Because I think you on since like episode three, possibly.
Yep, episode 3. I think we covered Watchmen.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yep.
Let
Um,
me see. I think my favorite episode truly would have to be our deep dive on the X-Men.
bro, wasn't that like 4 hours
That
long?
was like a four. That was like a four. There's there's a lot of reasons behind it. Backstage wise, I think it was my birthday,
Okay.
and I remember after the episode ended, that it was like 11 o'clock at night, and you left for like 20 minutes, and then came back with a birthday cake.
I did.
You beautiful beautiful man. But
I
no,
did. I did.
being able to, and this was before I think we had Dark Phoenix and New Mutants. I think the most recent one was like I think we went up to all the way to Daredevil 2, not Daredevil, Deadpool 2. But
Right.
being able to just go through that binge and then realizing, I think that was when I realized maybe the X-Men movies aren't actually that good, and I think there's only like two good ones, like
When you start really
actual.
talking about it.
It's like, wait a minute, there's this franchise is kind of hit and miss. It's beloved, but it's really hit and miss.
One of my favorite moments on the podcast regarding you, I would say would be our Hawkeye episode, the show and the comic. The comic was tremendous to read, so to be able to talk about that with somebody um, that I would talk about this stuff with anyway, to be able to talk about that on the mics with somebody like that was really, really cool. Um, but then your like just unapologetic love of the series because of how close it was to the comic really made the episode enjoyable because uh
It was honest goosebumps. Like and I will still to this day say I've never experienced watching a comic that I've read come to life. It's the same way why I hate the Hunger Games movies, because I've read those books. So like being able to see the panel of them on the bridge with the car and shooting the arrows, and then see it being created on TV, it made me cry in a way that I don't think many things has actually made me cry of joy. I can't believe they actually did that.
yeah, and it's we got to, you know, like I wonder if we don't put the comic on the schedule, right? Like if we don't have that inner joy from kind of seeing the source material and moving on. You also really latched on to Stars and Stripes and Stargirl. I remember how big of a deal that was. That was really fun to cover.
Yeah,
JSA.
and I think that was an impromptu episode too. We were just you couldn't get your
Oh
co-host,
yes,
so
yes, yes.
you couldn't get your co-host. So we're like, yo, let's just cover news and the pilot episode of Stargirl. And then yeah, I
Yeah.
ended up going into the rabbit hole of the Stars and Stripes kid.
Yeah. You might I gotta crunch the numbers, but you might have the most co-hosted episodes. I think that's sort of kind of fair. So, you know, thank you for having the time, the energy, the research time for coming up with topics, for coming up with books and stuff that we should read. It was super cool going into, what was it, a history of violence
Yep,
that we
history of
covered?
violence. Yes, we did.
Where like that, I would have never connected those dots for that being a film. So I thought that was super cool. And all of that knowledge being transferred again from B Roke. So it's like, yeah, I like this cyclical nature of the energy
No,
that you're
I
able to possess.
no, I mean, like some of these episodes I'm not even aware of, but I'm flattered that you've seen these films. Which I'm like, the only reason you would see most people like History of Violence was not a blockbuster movie,
No,
but
no, it wasn't indeed.
I saw that opening weekend in the theaters. I
Oh
mean, I
wow.
was, that movie was amazing,
Well,
and
I
it's
saw
Yeah.
it and I didn't know it was a comic book movie. I saw it because it's directed by David Cronenberg, and I love
mm,
Cronenberg.
I
wow,
saw it
that's
because
that.
I love an awkward sex scene on steps. Now I'm just joking. That was weird. I'm like, come on, steps are pointy. You don't want to do that there.
Hey, say,
Um,
hey, when you're in the moment, you're in the moment, right?
do you remember us covering Why the Last Man, B Roke?
Of
Want,
course, of
wanting it
course.
to be more, wanting it to do more.
Well, yes, because even I mean, we just spoke about that the other day. I mean, here,
Yeah.
what were we? We were talking about The Walking Dead, right? The Walking
Yes.
Dead has just finished season 11 and has spawned into 3 or 4 other shows,
Yep.
while 2 other shows are finishing. So you've got a total of basically 5 long-running television shows, and why The Last Man couldn't get what 8 episodes.
Right. Yep.
and
Yep.
and to me and to me
Jesus.
the idea of Why the Last Man is a much more enthralling idea, but however controversial, than zombies and the zombie apocalypse. Not to take
Right.
anything away from that The Walking Dead was a game changer. Don't get me wrong. If you love it, you
Mhm.
love it. I still have love for it. But you write those 2 topics down. All right, zombie apocalypse, family and friends trying to survive in a crazy landscape. Every creature with a Y chromosome dies, and now we have to navigate this new single gendered life on Earth.
Yeah.
To me, especially now, considering how the zombie trope has just been beaten to death, I will, yeah, give me that show, and I don't see how that doesn't last. But it's controversial, and it
Yeah.
upset a lot of people to the point where I think it wasn't even bad reviews, so to speak. I just think people refused to even put their eyes on it.
Yeah. A lot of people just didn't end up watching it. I feel like it came out at a weird time too.
Well,
Um,
it wasn't that kind of during the pandemic, right?
yeah, yeah.
You
Either
know.
right after, I think it was like filmed during the pandemic, like it was like either right after or something like that. It was a very weird time for that. I know that I have Batman and Robin, I think that's what it's called. Or Robin and Batman by Jeff Lemire because of our coverage of several of Jeff Lemire's books. I had gotten my eyes open to the writer because of podcasts that we've done based on books that you've recommended, B Roke. So that's made you've made me a fan of certain people. We
Hmm.
we tweeted that we covered um Ascender and Descender, and I believe or Primordial, and Jeff Lemire liked it or retweeted it or something. So that was super cool too, because it was like,
Oh,
oh wow.
nice, nice,
I was like,
nice.
wow, oh yeah, he's paying attention.
Nice. No, I've met him a couple times. He's a really, really nice guy. And yeah,
Yeah.
honestly, I was just thinking, like, reflecting on, like, if I had to say my favorite episode,
Hmm.
there's two that stand out, and one is more of I loved it because of just the painstaking tediousness of it, and the other because because of the conversation that we had during it. Um,
Okay.
covering Future State was so wonderfully painful
It was so
because
long.
it was so long, and I'm sorry to say, like, it was a labor of love because almost nothing has come from those ideas,
Yeah, yeah.
and it was my one of my last attempts to get back into DC. So covering a lot of those books where it was just like, what the heck is happening? Where is this gonna go? These weird little 2 or even 3 issue story arcs where, all right, this is future state, so this is where the future of DC is going, and it all looked bleak and hopeless.
Right, right. No one wanted to be a part of that future.
No, but a couple of good titles did come around, or not even titles, but some of the people that we recently covered. That's where I discovered Ram V. Ram V,
Right.
having done that Swamp Thing Future State, which led to his Swamp Thing run, which led to him coming on my radar. So that was a great thing about it, and a
Yep.
few
We
other
just covered
books.
him with the Many Deaths of Layla Starr.
There you go.
Lila
There
Starr.
you go. There you go. So that, and just the conversations we were having, I remember where each of us was, we divvied it up into 3. We sat there and we each just basically, it felt like nothing stood out. We each had like
Yeah.
two or 3 of the entire run, and you're a DC guy, and I remember,
Yeah.
even, I mean, how many of those books do you remember?
I don't remember most. I think the next Batman is one of the ones I really dug, and I kind of still remember some of the Jace adventures, but
There you go. There you go. See, that was one of the few good ones. And who knows if any of that, for me, I don't know if any of that has come to fruition, or how much of that was fleshed out now that
yeah.
so much has occurred since. But yeah, but it was fun. It was a blast. It was, like I said, a labor of love. just a test of endurance to sit there and just, all right, this one wasn't good. Here, maybe the next one, maybe the next one, maybe the next one. I mean, one of the biggest disappointments for me that came out of that was Yara Flores, the
Yeah,
Brazilian
the
Wonder
new
Woman.
Wonder Woman. Yeah, the
The
new
new
Wonder
Wonder
Woman.
Woman. I mean, I banked on that book. I bought several copies. I gave out several copies because to me it was the hype, the idea of a Latina Wonder Woman, a Wonder Woman that looks more like the women that I was raised with. That I was just like, wow, like this is gonna be. And at the time they had said, oh, we're gonna do a Latina Wonder Woman show. It was she was gonna be like the next thing,
Yeah.
and she got thrown in the trash can almost immediately.
Yep.
So that was supreme. Like I think her series went 8 issues, and
Yeah, and they were
now
kind of doing like an Immortal Wonder Woman thing for Future State as well. I remember liking that.
that was a
She was
decent
one of the
book.
last
That was a
ones,
decent book.
last ones alive.
Yeah, that was decent. That was I kind of enjoyed that, but I'm not overall. I'm not the big Wonder Woman fan, but that one I was like, oh, this is gonna be cool because it seemed like at the time it was all about kind of like giving minorities a little bit more of a push. We just gotten through the Jessica Cruz Green Lantern, and what was his name? The Islamic Green Lantern. I
Simon
think it was like
Baez.
Simon Baez. So I was like, okay, here's now the Latina Wonder Woman's chance, and it just went nowhere. So,
Yeah,
but
it all
like I
fizzled
said,
out.
it was still fun. But the covering Primordial with you and just
Yeah.
going down that crazy rabbit hole of a book that when you on paper it's like, okay, we're going to cover the idea that what happened during the space race with those animals and where what if they had disappeared, and just this travel of love for these
Yeah.
animals, and watching what these animals go through and how they humanize the dogs, and I believe a chimp, the chimp, yeah, it was a chimp and
Yeah.
a couple dogs. Because maybe I'm about to say something controversial, but I'm not the
You don't like
biggest.
animals?
I'm not a big animal person.
Okay.
I'm not one of these people that believes a dog is more valuable than a person.
You know,
Right.
So
there was somebody that had the same kind of argument. I believe his name was Dennis Reynolds.
Yeah. And he
who's
got canceled.
uh
That was that's the guy from It's Always Sunny, and in the show, when he said it, he got canceled.
oh wow,
Yeah.
okay, well, I'm not saying to abuse animals. I'm not saying
Yeah,
animals
You don't
yeah,
want
aren't
to
yeah.
eat a
important.
bucket of fried dog?
No, I'm not even talking like, I'm just talking that but people, when you give some people that thought of, hey, I could save a person or I could save an animal, and it's like, for me that's not much of a thought. It's like, if I'm gonna save Dan or I'm gonna save like Lassie, Lassie, you're done. I gotta save Dan.
Yeah.
There's
Oh,
it's
poor Lassie.
yeah, I'm just that's just me, and I know some people are gonna hear that and be like, oh no, I'll save my dog over anyone. I say very well, and maybe you need to have better conversations with people
Yeah.
because you gotta find somebody. You gotta find somebody. So that's, but with this book, made like the way it humanized the animals really made me kind of understand that better. And the way
Right.
at the end, if you remember the ending of that book, it just kind of ends. And
It's very
I remember us.
obscure in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I remember us literally in the last 10 minutes of the cast, basically coming to the conclusion, and we just reaching these ideas, and it was a blast. It was an absolute blast,
Yeah.
and so that's one of the reasons, as you've seen, when we cover these independent books, I find that the independent books pull that more out of us with the ideas of Descender, Ascender, Primordial, the Many Deaths of Layla Star, and I can go on and on and on. Those
Yeah.
books really just get the brain sizzling,
Yeah.
Whereas,
Oh no, I was gonna say I agree too. I often think of our conversation about I Kill Giants. That made me a bigger fan of both the book and the film. Because like it's one thing surface level. I thought it was fine surface level, but being able to talk to somebody about it and kind of the complex themes and all that kind of stuff. You know what? I am feeling a bit better about all this major issues and comic book click stuff. There might be a need, a place, a spot for the Major Issues podcast to continue. 301. You guys want to see this thing continue? Would you? Well, I guess the question is, would you guys like to be on future episodes?
Yeah.
Would you know anytime that anytime you need me, I'm here.
Hmm.
There is going to be things cooking up on the woodwork for 2024 season for my own personal self.
Yep,
But
yep.
when I can, you already know. We covered the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles of this year, so you already
Yes.
know. You need a host. I'm the host with the most.
That was a really fun episode too, Mutant
And it
Mayhem.
was such a great movie. I've seen it 4 times now because it's on Paramount.
Yeah.
No, it was the last time that I watched it. I had to actually cry tears of joy because it's like, wait a minute, they're actually teenage Ninja
Yeah.
Turtles. Like
Teenage
they're
Mutant Ninja
teenagers.
Turtles.
They're
Yeah.
being teenagers, man. We outside here. Yo, Aki, let me get a bacon and cheese.
when they
Oh, it's
when
so
they
good.
when they said, even I've seen it 3 times now, and every time they say "Yo, Ak," I just
Oh
lose it
yeah. Yeah.
because that's such a New York thing, and the way they snuck that in there, I loved it. I loved it. So, and listening to you guys on an episode, I was damn near almost crashing my car. The laughter and the joy of that episode. So that was great, and that definitely makes me let you. Will I will be here. I will be here. I just like Dan. I got ideas for us of things I would like to talk about with you,
Yeah.
and for the foreseeable future and onward. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it
I
You
going.
still got to convince you that Blue Beetle is better than Mid. Both of
Maybe.
you.
All right, that's where you're gonna take that sling ring, and you're gonna take that with you.
Blue
I
Beetle's
actually think
amazing. I'm here for the battalion.
I actually think you two should discuss Blue Beetle because, to be honest, Dan, I don't know how to go back with this thing. Now I'm sure you'll find a way back to New York all the way from
Wait, wait a minute,
Florida.
wait a minute. What do you mean I'll find a way back?
No, I might be back. I don't know.
What do you mean you might be back?
Just
My
stay
dad
right
said the
here.
same thing. My dad said the same thing when he went to go to the store.
Just stay here. Again, I appreciate you guys so much. To 300 more episodes, and let's see where this thing. I guess I'll just think about something a little bit different. Uh, this thing doesn't obey the laws of physics at all. Whoa, this place looks a little bit familiar. GT, is that you? As I live and breathe.
I'd hope it's me. You're in my house.
I know. Listen, it's a long story. It's well, but I guess it's not that long. I have this thing now. It's a sling ring, and it's letting me go to and from wherever I want to, as long as I think about it hard enough. Again, don't ask too many questions. But
Isn't
in
that supposed to
general,
take a level of skill and training?
sometimes you make a deal with the devil. You get some
Oh,
shortcuts. You get some. I have a game shark, is what's going on here. But
ah.
more importantly, by being here, you're here on the 300th episode of the Major Issues podcast. So welcome.
Why are you always recording when this happens?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. But do you mind coming with me? I don't really know how this thing works, but I was able to bring Dan with me somewhere, and I think it'd be cool if you can come with me. I think we should go surprise Yogi over in Cali and really start having a Major Issues conversation. What do you think?
Uh, Against my better judgment and the hole in my roof. Sure.
All right. Hold on to your butts. I don't know exactly how this thing works.
Oh dear.
Mama say, mama sa, mamaku sa, mama say, mama. Okay, I guess you don't have to really say anything. Oh, it's working on its own. I think I see him on the other side. Yogi, is that you?
What
Put some
the
pants on.
hell? What is in this?
No. I'm happy to see you, Yogi. I know you're very surprised to see me. I don't know if you understand what's going on right now. Me and GT are transversing the world using this sling ring thing, but you don't have to worry about any of that. And there's no
For
camera
someone
on you,
called
so
Yogi,
people-
he seems often dressed like Winnie the Pooh.
Yes, and luckily that we can't see what's going on. The people can't see what's going on there. I'm a bit impressed, but I think for everybody else's sake, we won't comment on that at all.
I'll get dressed.
You can get dressed. You can get dressed. But welcome to the 300th episode of the Major Issues podcast. So I started this podcast at my house with Claudius Maximus, and I was kind of telling him that sometimes you can't see the forest through the trees when it comes to this kind of stuff. 300 episodes has been a labor of love, but has been a labor in general. And I guess I wanted some perspective as people who came in to the podcast. I wanted to know if you guys had any favorite memories, favorite episodes you've been on, episodes you wish you would have been on. Um, I'm gonna go ahead and start off by saying that I think Yogi has the most lost episodes in major issues history.
That's a
We
that's a
can't
badge of honor.
we can't talk about major issues history without talking about how many times we've recorded absolute gold. And it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
wow, that was incredible. What a conversation. We've learned so
Yep.
much about the character and so much about each other. It was great. And then it's like, can't wait to share it with the world. And it doesn't never happened. Live in the moment, they say. That's what
I want to say the Cat and the Bat was one we had to record twice
Yeah.
because something happened amongst that.
Yeah.
Miracle Man went like 3.5 hours,
And it was gone.
and then that was gone to the Speed Force.
We did an episode just
3.5.
about Batman. It was like my last time doing a live episode, well before this one, obviously. And
Right.
It was so great, and it was like gone. It's corruption.
I back then I would record on memory cards as opposed to directly into the computer, and if they got full by any chance, it wouldn't just save what it had recorded. It would just give up. It would say, "Up, there's nowhere to put this," and just dump it. I would love if it would just have paused us at some certain time, and then we could have returned to it.
A
But
warning
yeah,
window or something.
yes, that would have been cool. But we lost a lot by the wayside. But do you guys remember
The things we
getting
lost in
on
the
all
fire.
this? What do you guys remember about getting in on this?
I remember looking at it a lot from the outside and actually just meeting you guys on various like pro wrestling Facebook groups, and
Yep.
I think we just all like kind of got along as contentious observers of a whirlwind of opinions on a very very passionate subject that we all share.
Yes.
And somewhere along the way, I think we sort of found out. I don't know how you found out I was in the comic books. I know me and John had sort of skirted the conversation around at that point.
Hmm.
I had shared some stuff on Facebook probably that you reacted to, and I was like, "Whoa, look,
Probably.
he knows."
Yeah. Yeah. I do think I remember. It's actually funny now because I haven't thought about it in a while, and like I realize how much bigger your kid is now. I
Yeah.
do remember commenting on your son looking exactly like John Kent in his hoodie.
Oh man, that had to be so long ago. I
Yeah,
still remember he was my little John Kent.
he was so tiny back then. Like he was
what boy? This boy.
Yeah, right. Like he was already a good ways bigger and older than that when I met him at Grand Slam, and it's been 2 years since
Yeah.
then. So
Yeah, he's almost my size now. Just like, get the fuck out of here. Stop that.
you gonna have the Rey Mysterio taller than me, son?
That's gonna be hilarious. I hope he's
How are
6'2".
you disciplining him now?
I hit my knee and I just lost all audio for a second.
Oh
Oh.
no, you're good.
I was asking you if you were gonna have the Rey Mysterio taller than you, son.
Oh, it's clear that that's what's gonna happen here.
However, will you discipline him now, John?
He's got like long limbs and stuff too. He can just hold me back, like hold me at arm's
Oh.
length.
Right on the forehead. Just
Yeah.
As you wail.
just extend the arm.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Oh, God.
And then apropos of nothing, I imagine some feelers got sent out, and then you asked me to come and talk about Superman. I think I think I
Yes.
know I made some particular overture about how much I love Superman somewhere, and you had gotten wind of it, and
Sounds like me.
well, you know, you asked me.
Yeah, that when I talk about episodes, I remember, like I said, I always think of episode 50, which is the Man of Steel dilemma, I think it's called, or
The
something
great
like
debate.
that. The great debate over Man of Steel, which was just me yelling at the movie for a very long time, as GT says repeatedly. It's not perfect, but I like it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but the fundamental. He's like, yeah, some parts were cool.
Which is interesting. Like I actually have, it's been a while since I've listened to it, but I think my opinions probably have changed a little bit on Man of Steel since then. Um,
Interesting.
I still love it, but I see some of the flaws a little clearer. I understand some of them a little clearer, or maybe I just understand um I understand why people probably didn't agree with that quote gritty, realistic portrayal of the Man of Steel.
Right.
You
I
know,
think I think I've softened on all of it since then. Once I sort of realized how worse it could get, I guess.
sure.
It's like, damn, if that's it fixed, keep it broken. Like keep it where at least that's a vision. That's
George
something. The rest of this is
George
literally
watched
nothing. Brightburn.
Brightburn and just went, okay, we came out of
Yeah,
this all right.
I was like, oh my god, that and New Mutants. But I'm sitting there. We we've covered Superman. I think besides Tasman, the aspiring Kryptonian, you've been on most of the Superman stuff that we've tackled. So you've seen my fandom ebb and flow when it comes to the comics, when it comes to the television show Superman and Lois. We still talk about that. I still gotta freaking watch season 3 so we can cover
Still
it.
got to finish season
Um,
3.
yeah, yeah. I still gotta watch Doom Patrol season 4. That was another thing that we covered. We were on the Doom Patrol
Oh, I'm
train for
so
a while
scared.
until
I'm
that thing
so
fell off a
scared.
freaking cliff. Gosh. I
John, I don't remember
also
how you felt about season 3.
I didn't get to see it, but
Ah,
I got the endings. No, I got the ending. Yeah, I got the ending spoiled. I did.
of season
It
3
was
of Doom Patrol.
no, of Superman and Lois.
oh no, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm
Ah.
referring to Superman. That's that. Season 3 is Doom Patrol.
Oh, I didn't see it.
Ah, second verse, same as the first, baby.
I want to say it was during the pandemic. It wasn't, like it was a bit rough.
During
Yeah,
the panty, no, all that stuff is non-canon.
Penny Dammy,
All
all of it.
The whole pandemic,
that stuff. All
non-canon,
that.
didn't happen. Filler movie. You can skip it or watch it if you.
It's like a Dragon Ball Z movie. Like it may have happened.
It could have if you really try hard. Goku could have fought cooler. Like, nope. There's no way to fit that one actually.
Very early on in the inception of Comic Book Click, is when I started really getting into comics and trying to read them week to week. You two gentlemen were the only ones really following week to week books that was on the podcast. So it was so cool to be able to chop it up. And when we got the chance to chop it up about certain comics, Yogi, we did 50 issues of Immortal Hulk, bro.
That was beautiful though.
But it's so big. Like now I think about it, I'm like 50 issues. What the hell were we thinking? But it was fun.
It never feels like that. I don't know why. It always feels like 50 chapters in a book. Because if you read a fucking Harry Potter book, it's got like 1,000 chapters. It's like
Jesus, really?
But I don't know. I'm just exaggerating. It's got a lot.
Right.
It's got a lot of chapters, and it's a lot of pages. Clearly,
yes,
right? That's the
yes.
joke. It's basically a meme how big they get.
Is it?
But but like I feel like some of the long comics we read may not even be as long as one of the bigger Harry Potter books, and we would have called that like one book. So I never saw it a lot. But I didn't get to say how I got into major issues.
How did you get into major issues?
I did come into major issues. I came into major issues pretty early, actually. What was it, like the
It would have been very
second
early.
episode, something like that? Early, baby.
I'm putting up some of the older episodes now.
Because I remember before it came out, I expressed that I wanted to do some kind of podcast. I was like, I have all these opinions about
all this energy.
All this stuff, all this energy inside I want to talk about. And I I posted that on Facebook, and George commented, like, we should talk.
Yes. George just waltzed into your house in a black trench coat and just said, I want to talk to you about the major issues in this shit.
Exactly. That's exactly how it happened.
Quite fitting as we've just landed here in your home now. So you see we continue. So we did wrestling with comics.
That was early.
So now let's back up. So yeah, we're going to back up from there. That's episode 67.
But our first ones were like,
I'm looking now.
It had to be Batman. Something. It was comics. It would
have been the issue with Wonder Woman and Batman. Because remember they were seemingly gonna kiss, or they did
the one where
kiss,
they get stuck in the other dimension.
No, we had to have done something before that too.
Well, episode 19 is Dark Knight's Metal.
Okay.
Before that, 18 is Court of Owls, but I don't think you were on Court of Owls.
It might be Metal. No, you might. You have to go back.
Going back even further. Episode 8, November 25th, 2009. Batcat and Tom King, Batcat, and Batman number 39.
Nice. God, look at us.
Look at us. Yeah, I mean, right here we have the Doomsday Clock. We try to do Doomsday Clock. There's a lot going on, man.
Was John technically like your first guest, not Jarvis?
Yes, my first guest is Jarvis. We cover Crisis on Earth X and the Infinity War trailer of all two things to cover.
Yeah.
Then I attempt to start covering comics with Doomsday Clock, and then I don't for a while. The next thing that we do is I'm on that for Watchmen.
I've got to be on. Yeah, hell yeah.
On Doomsday Clock, issue 1.
No, the full episode. I think you're on. I don't know if you're on the.
Because I remember we did it, and then we had to stop because the issues weren't coming out fast enough.
You might.
Give me a moment. I'm gonna check this out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Which means you were on episode 2.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Podcast. That is humongous. That's huge.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
Hey. Yeah, so people should be very familiar with that man's voice.
I love y'all.
I'm just looking at some of this stuff that we've got. You forget, man. 300. You forget.
That's why they're so fun to listen to afterwards.
Yeah. We do Action Comics 1000.
Man, I remember all the covers.
Yeah. No Justice got its own episode.
No Justice. We did do No Justice.
Oh my god. What was No Justice? Oh,
did we do all of Snyder's Justice League?
Like, I think we were getting
I think you did a lot of it.
No, we did all of it. We did everything.
Yeah, because it was a lead into something. We decided we were gonna do the whole thing because
we were
getting ready for death metal. We were getting ready for death metal. And so we did. I remember because I think those we split in half because those Snyder Justice League stuff was a bit dense.
It was like 39 issues, and it wasn't even as crazy. It was 39 issues, but there was a lot. There was a lot going on. It felt
there was a lot of nodes and a lot of teams.
Yes. Episode 31 is Captain America 1990, which was a god awful film that me and GT covered.
But God, do I love listening to us talk about it. That is one of my most fun episodes of all time.
It really was it stopped being like informative at that point. Like I was so blown away with how bad it was. Like, GT just drug it.
Yeah,
just drug it.
We were just assholes at that point. I recently did in preparation for this. I listened back to that, and like, I as someone who was a part of the episode, I actually enjoyed us having a good little powwow just on the Captain America character.
Yeah.
And then we get into the movie, and it all just falls apart.
That happens quite often on this podcast. What will happen is I will get excited by reading something in preparation, and then by the time I watch it, like I had basically the closest person I had around me that was a Hellboy expert to come through and talk about why she loved Hellboy, and it made me go back and read a bunch of issues and be like, I get it. And then Hellboy 3 came out, or whatever that Hellboy.
Oh,
Like,
the one with not Juan, but with the guy from Stranger Things.
why
Harbor?
now of all,
David Harbor?
I'm like, why now of all this time am I forgetting his name?
That's fucking
David Harbor.
Guardian, baby.
Yeah,
Red
yeah.
Guardian.
We did Kick-Ass 1 in January of 2020. We just did Kick-Ass 2 like 3 weeks ago.
We gotta start repackaging these like as complete sets, like a comic. Like if we did all the Snyder stuff, we should put them all out together. Like, hey,
it's just like when they do that YouTube video where it's just like, here's all 20 videos.
Well, you don't want to do that because then you put it out like a 20-hour long.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
Well, like a new post, like a new thing with all of them in the thing. Like, hey, listen to all of these. These are amazing.
John hates those like 2-hour videos.
We've done this for so long that we've literally done mini series within this thing and not even realized it.
Yeah. Like part ones and part twos. We have, like we did Tom King's Vision. We did. Me and you, GT, I believe we covered Carol Danvers and just talking about her character analysis prior to watching that film and reviewing that film. I learned so much by forcing myself to do the research before some of these episodes. Some of the note packets when we used to come in and do them physically were pretty thick. And yeah, a lot of that stuff was fun. I'm looking right now.
I'll let you in on an insider thing for anybody listening. I remember the first time I showed up for the Superman interview, and
a tie.
No, I wish. But I remember the first time I showed up to do the podcast for the Superman episode, and when I got there, I sat down at our table, and he just hands me this like 3-page printout of like basically the rundown of everything we were going to talk about for Superman, and I just thought, okay, how are you out of production?
Holy shit! Should have sent me this last week.
I was just like this is.
I never got one that thick. I feel left out now. I want a book.
I gotta give you something thick. Write it down.
Oh
Get
no,
Yogi something.
It's a different kind of.
Stop it.
We would do. We did. Oh yep, we got Heroes in Crisis. We were on a DC kick for a while.
We got a Tom stuff. King. We got a Tom King files. We've done so many Tom King books.
Oh yeah, if you just like hit the Tom King drop down on the folder, you're just gonna.
Are we missing any? We might as well do them. We got Mr. Miracle. Supergirl's got a movie coming.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Mr. Miracle. We've done Heroes in Crisis.
We did Vision.
Vision.
We did. We did do Vision.
Yep. We've touched on Tom King's Batman.
We did.
On occasion. Oh, we did an Arrow retrospective. That was long.
That was a long one.
That was freaking long.
When it's good. When it's good, it's long.
Yeah. Do you remember Superman and Terminator?
I do. That was bizarre. Shit.
I was just like, well, this has Superman in it. I want GT on the thing. And, wow, total nonsensical.
Wasn't there? There was a Terminator movie coming out, right?
I think it was. Yeah,
I think there was a Terminator movie.
Tenuous tie I created.
Yeah, like how can we tie this in? Oh, there's a Superman comic. Yes.
Oh, and you were a huge proponent as to why we covered War of the Realms. You had spoken so highly of Jason Aaron's Thor. I read it and I was like, oh my god, this
head
is amazing.
First into like a 80-issue deep dive.
yes. But it was worth it at every turn. Like I can't believe people don't know. If they don't know about it, they don't know about it. But that run,
I can't.
But then you got an awesome movie about it, right?
It was like a music video.
That's not what I was gonna say. But
Like,
I was gonna
like,
say like I pretty much ruined Thor for George because it's like his first real read is the best one.
yeah, yeah. And then it was kind of painful after the fact.
But like
Watchmen.
right directly after the fact, you got like Thor, Herald of Galactus.
Yes, immediately
Uh,
after that.
What
Al,
happened before that? Nobody cares.
Al
Herald,
Ewing is doing one now that everyone seems to love, and I've got
is
no
he?
problem waiting. Yeah, Immortal
Uh,
Thor.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I like the Mortal Hulk, so I'm on board with that. I
Yeah,
remember doing the Watchmen TV show review and trying to do that in chronological order.
Ooh.
was I on that? Did I do that?
I believe you
I
are. I
believe
want to
I
say you
did.
were. I believe you are.
I
Um,
did.
but yeah, I remember like trying to put that in actual chronological order because it jumps between
Mm.
pre pre Watchmen, post Watchmen.
Yeah, I
I'll tell
remember
you one. I tell you one. I really enjoyed doing with you, and it started a long running gag for me being a complete asshole about it. Us doing Born Again for Daredevil,
Yes, yes.
and never
I
again
love
was
that
I ever
story.
nice to Frank Miller.
No, you were not. But I loved that. I loved covering that book. And I remember like being really surprised at how I guess how good it is. How you get that moment of him in the silhouette with the fire
So
and how
good,
you just the whole comic kind of builds to that moment.
so
Like,
good.
Frank drew and wrote that, right?
Yeah,
yes.
God, man, he was such a beast.
he used to be good.
Hey, people get old. I don't blame him for getting old. The mind doesn't get sharp. It's the fucking company's fault for continuing to give him work.
Is he
No,
still I heard he was gonna sequelize Ronin.
I'm sure he is. He's never gonna stop. Like he's never going to stop.
Are you saying we have to stop him? Is that is that what you're, is
Wait,
that what
it's
you're
much.
suggesting?
It's way, way, way too late. We were supposed to stop him before Holy Terror, and we let that happen.
Yeah.
So now,
Now he is protected
now we're
by the
here.
dark magics.
Now
Holy terror.
he's
Golly.
fucking racist.
Yes.
But
That was
it's
post
okay.
9/11, right? The post
Yeah,
9/11.
yeah, yeah. It's okay. That 9/11 happened. It changed him. It changed a lot of people.
Yeah, it did.
My favorite episode was the Twilight of the Superheroes episode because
I love that
I totally
episode.
believe that.
we never
Yeah.
like. Could you imagine? Like, there's this goddamn. It's such an obscure thing that people.
Is that the only episode about a thing that didn't happen?
Yeah, I think so.
I know that's the most we've ever talked about something that didn't happen.
There's like
But
a 3-hour episode.
Yeah, it was like simultaneously this is the batshit stuff that happened. Wasn't it batshit?
Yeah.
Like there was a lot of
Yeah.
that. Because I was like,
Yeah. It was fun because it's never like we have to do 3 hours of
no,
content.
no, no.
It's like
no.
we ended up there because we had so much to say.
I feel like John shows up thinking we need to do 3 hours of content.
No,
Sometimes.
never. I never feel like we have to. I feel like if it's over,
No,
it's
I know.
over.
I'm poking fun at the fact that it's a consistent.
It is. It happens. I think I talk a lot. Is what it
Yes.
is.
We did cover death metal.
I hate that he agreed so hard.
Yes.
Absolutely.
We did metal and death metal. What did we
Oh,
do?
we did the whole thing. We did it
Yeah.
all. I should have been on the Batman. We're gonna redo the Batman.
That's bonkers.
Remaster.
We were in a mood.
Put
we
me
did
in
Wonder
there
Woman-
like George Lucas did Hayden Christensen.
we did Wonder
Oh,
Woman's
wow.
1 and 2. Did we both do those, GT? Both Wonder Women? Wonder Women?
I believe we did. I know.
Wonder People.
Wonder People. I know Wonder Woman 2 was recorded in my mom's house in a closet because I was vacationing for Christmas, and that's when it dropped. It dropped that Christmas week.
Yes, it did.
And I just had like my laptop. I had my mic propped up on like a cup, like trying to make his makeshift studio where I can't hear outside stuff. And I'm basically ragging on the film at the same time. So it's not even like I was doing it to talk about something I really liked. That was
It is not often you get a film so good followed by a film so not.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Doomsday Clock. We did Doomsday Clock. Golly.
That was good because it was so frustrating, and then it ended up being like, okay, like I remember George eventually finding peace with it. It was a fun moment. It was a fun moment. Oh
Yeah.
man, the Batman the animated series is on sale for $25.
Yes, it
Ah,
is. And that's also been covered on the Major Issues podcast,
yes,
as
it
has
has.
Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Oh god, that
You
was
can,
another favorite of mine.
that's
That
another, I
was
think, long boy. I think we
that
go
was
probably
long.
not as long.
No, that might have been longer than the movie. No, it wasn't. It
At
wasn't
three
longer than
hours, at 3 hours and 39 minutes.
Gee, we were going for it. We should have just done the extra 20.
3 hours and 39 minutes. Holy how bonkers.
That's good for the people that drive to work. You got like 2
Yeah, yeah,
days
yeah.
worth of shit.
Oh.
That's why, like, when I close the show, I often say, like, we have, let's say, this instance, I would say we have 300 episodes of the Major Issues podcast, which is over 600 hours. Because the average is a two, but then you get, beefy boys like that one, and it's like, yeah, that's
The
huge.
Crisis on Infinite Earths one was another long one. That was good. That was
Yeah.
really good. These are all things that I just never got to. I never like who was I ever gonna be able to talk about Twilight of the superheroes with? I've been looking for someone to talk about that thing forever. And we got to
And
do it for
honestly,
three
yeah,
hours.
people rarely have our level of excitement over some of these trivial, seemingly, um things. I loved covering House and Powers of X. That was great.
Oh man, that was great.
Um, like it.
Did we
There's so
do?
many
Did we do
times.
Jonathan Hickman's Avengers? Like, I feel like we should have. If we didn't, we might not have.
I think we
I
should in general. I
We
know
have
we've
that in
always
the
wanted to
pocket.
do
Yeah,
Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four for sure. I
Yep,
bought them. I
and
bought them all. I have them. They're ready to go.
I will, and I can go ahead and give a little bit of a tease that we will be covering something quite spooky, the three of us, for Halloween this year. And I'll leave it at that. But yeah,
Many
we
oaths
did
were
our
taken in preparation for this episode.
yes,
Right.
Um, gosh, so many damn memories. Was there any episodes you remember that you weren't on, or maybe that the opposite person was on?
Oh boy. Not always particularly. I do know I have a hilarious I have a hilarious like thing about me where I listen to you guys and I'm just like, God damn it, I want to jump in. God damn it, God
He's
damn it,
wrong.
God,
He's wrong. Damn it.
God damn it, George is blanking on some information that I have. Damn it.
Oh, yeah, and that feels like those minutes feel like hours because you're sitting there going, "What's the artist? What's his name?" And right now, we were just doing it with David Harbour. There was
Yeah.
someone was screaming at us on
Somebody
the train.
Don't worry. I got y'all.
We we covered the whole Dark Knight trilogy. Went ranked
Yes.
cinematic Batman villains.
We did the Dark Knight trilogy together, us three, didn't we?
I believe so. I know we definitely did the third one.
The trilogy done by the Trinity.
Hey.
Yes. And then to go back, even though I already liked those films, I've never spoken about them at that length, you know? And what I love about doing these shows with you guys is I know what I want to say for the most part, and I know what, the medium or media is trying to convey. But oftentimes I'll come to conclusions I didn't know I would come to just in organic conversation. Like, wait a minute. This is wrong. It's happened so many times. Like now, honestly, because of our Dark Knight review, I will always see the Joker part of that as like the magic trick, like the shiny nickel that they're using to distract from the terrible tragedy that is the Harvey Dent debacle. Like I love Ledger's Joker, 100%. But I think people miss the trick that is what's going on in the background, what's almost understated in comparison, which is a man losing his mind and becoming another casualty of Gotham City.
If
And
you
I
called
got
the
that from
movie, if you called the movie The Fall of Harvey Dent, you wouldn't have had to change a thing.
no, no.
It's like the
And for him
Joker's
to be a
also in it.
pawn,
Yeah.
for a good man to just be a pawn in this weird morality battle, he's Job, and
Yeah.
he quits. He says, "You know what? Screw all this. I'm done." We've had some fun trying to predict things. I think I'm gonna go back and listen to some of those because I know I sound hopeful for some of the stuff that's gonna end up coming and just
Oh
dropping
man,
like a brick.
that would be a fun like clip show, like a supercut of our optimistic future predictions.
Super optimistic predictions that just fall by the wayside. I
Yes.
can see that.
Um,
I can see that.
I have very good memories of the live we did in person.
Yeah, the 100th episode,
Yeah, that was
the 100th
fun.
episode live.
All of us
Totally
cramped
was.
onto a very tightly cramped into a couch, trying to fit
It
on
never
screen.
looks like they're cramped when you see it on YouTube, but we had to cramp up. I remember thinking that like this should feel more comfortable than it is. I'm like everyone always looks so comfortable. But
You know what
yeah,
it
like
reminds me of? It reminds me of it's something I never really paid attention to as I what until somebody mentioned it on like old Star Treks. It's like
mhm.
how unrealistically close together everyone stands on TV
Yes,
because you have to
yeah,
fit them all on camera.
right. Everyone got to be in the frame.
So like there are
I
people who are just inches away from each other. Like we don't have to be this close to each other to speak.
right. But we had to and pass that mic around
Yeah, we
to
did.
get it on that 100th episode. We that's the goal is to find a way to get us all together to do one of these again.
Cabin
But
episode by the fire.
yes, but with this sling ring, I was able to come over here and do this. So I mean, blessings, blessings on blessings on blessings.
Magics on magics on magics.
I do feel a bit better about this. I do think I'm ready for another 300 episodes. If you guys are ready for another 300 episodes, would you guys follow
I'm always
the rest
ready.
of this journey?
I'm here for another 1,000.
Well, now we've opened the can of worms. Like with everything, with all the shit I've talked, GT, we now have to cover Superman Legacy like that. Even if nothing got covered, we'd have to get back
Yeah.
to that and close that out. We've got books we need to finish.
And
Yogi.
because I suffered through it, at some point we have to cover Woman of Tomorrow.
Yes.
You suffered through it, Jesus.
I suffered
Christ.
through the movie.
Interesting.
Oh,
Oh yes, yes. Oh, that
Oh.
Supergirl film.
those are
Was
not related.
god-awful.
That's messed up.
No, but like I'm making the connective thread between this shitty movie, the book, and the movie that's going to be posted on that book, which hopefully is less shitty.
Oh, I
Yes.
hope so.
And we could always cover the Supergirl show until Monel shows up, and then we can stop. We can stop right
Just
there.
stop watching.
Put a pin and
Turn it
there
off.
we go.
All right, and her husband's here, and I am checked out.
I am done. She
Is
was
that
making
really?
too many
Is that
googly
where?
eyes.
Is that where that falls on for you?
Too much googly eyes? Like she was. Let me. Listen. Love is love. I'm glad they found love.
I will say there was another one that I was very happy to get you to read, which was I was really big on the initial run of Sam Wilson's Captain America.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
just thought that was a fun story to tell, and it involves a lot of complex nuance to read, and
it does.
to not fall into any pits.
Not only that, but it's like one of those things where you read something and you go, "Oh, they predicted," and then you go, "Well, no, it's never not been this way. It's never
Yeah.
not been." Like I was trying to give them all this credit, like, "Oh, wow, how could they know that even years after the fact?" It's like, no, they were just reporting on what's always been.
Yes.
And
And
that was
in
super
fact,
interesting.
I'll let you in on a very funny exchange I had with one of our guys, which was to say, like, like we're talking about the interesting things they do in movies these days,
Mhm.
uh, and and I mentioned like the way certain language gets used, and he goes, "Well, that's not fair. That was accurate to the time," and I just go, "Bruh,
Yeah.
when has racism never been accurate to the time?"
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. 'Cause, like, oh, they shouldn't be so harsh. It's like that's what it was. That's what they did. That like, and you know what I remember from that Sam Wilson thing? I remember having an incredibly enlightened conversation, but I don't remember it ending happily. Like
No,
I don't remember this, neither the story, the arc, or the conversation ending on like, and then he won, and everyone respected him even though he was black, and everyone said,
nope.
"That's my Captain America."
It ends at him dropping the shield, and you can,
Yeah.
to a degree, it tries to come back around
Mhm.
because he picks the shield back up in Secret Empire, which maybe one day will I'll talk George into
Oh,
getting.
I'd love to cover Secret Empire just from the perspective of that's one of the few events around that I could remember dropping issue to issue and all the fervor that came from it. Like a lot of the stuff that we've covered, I got in trades after the fact. I don't remember like
You
where
got to
things fell.
experience this one.
Yeah, I got to experience that one, which was very similar to Doomsday Clock, and that's why when they had those delays, we was trying to cover it issue to issue, but those delays, man, really
They
messed up the
mess you up
pacing.
months, right?
It was supposed to drop once a month, leading to a full year. Then
But
it
they were
was
like
like every
months
other
between
month,
issues.
and don't get me wrong, Gary Frank, my man's got talent, and he needs
it,
time to do his
it
work.
was more than that though. It was a lot more than that. We talked about it on the episode. I mean, it was
Yeah,
it
because it
was
was
all the
editorial, wasn't it?
yeah, it was all the bullshit politics back and forth and back and forth. And
Yeah,
Jeff Johns just ends up writing a book that's like, we tried, and you know what? Things are gonna get bad for a little while, but they'll go back to normal. I
but
promise.
better yet, because because the Doomsday Clock book is heralded in such a way that it's like, oh yeah, it's going to affect all of DC. So all of DC is waiting for this book to affect us, and it won't finish.
Oh no,
Yeah.
Dan DiDio was like, but I have a better idea. He was
God.
wrong.
I want an episode about John's war on Dan DiDio.
It's not my fault. It's not my fault. He started. No, he attacked me. You know, he just wanted. You know that he wanted Dick Grayson to die in Infinite Crisis. I mean,
Yes.
yeah,
I heard he wanted him to die at every
he
point.
did want it. He wanted Dick Grayson dead forever. I also heard he just hates sidekicks. Could you imagine what kind of person hates sidekicks? What kind of fucked up person
Okay,
are you?
wait. So what I've heard, whether or not it's true, it's all allegedly
No,
speculated.
I didn't want to give it context. I just wanted him to be an evil person that hated sidekicks.
But I like talking about this particular thing. I always think it's kind of interesting what kind of angles you get on it. The issue with not even with Robin, it's with Nightwing.
Hmm.
Because by aging up Robin, you aged up Batman, and now Batman's just this old fart in a bat suit.
I mean, he is.
And to Dan DiDio, that's not cool. You can't sell that.
But you also
They've
had
only
like
been. I was gonna say they've only been selling it for like 60 years before you got there,
yeah,
but sure.
I remember coming from a military background, being incredibly intrigued by the idea of heroes in crisis. And then Dan Didio got his hands on that, and
Yeah.
those solicitations were like, "Guess who's dead? It's one of these guys."
It was a good idea. It was a good idea in the beginning. I
Yeah,
still feel like that.
the idea that heroes are like us and experience trauma and need a place to unload that trauma, and in their most safe place ever, they're targeted. That was incredibly interesting. But if you
Could
take
you-
go ahead, brother.
I was gonna say, could you imagine hearing that idea and then your first instinct is like, all right, that's great. What if we just like shot it up?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
What if we just shot it up?
What
But
are you doing?
the worst part about it is, like I said, because of my background, like, PTSD, army stuff, whatever, like I found it very interesting because I could relate to it, and the analogies and stuff it was trying to do. But if you take the analogy to its full extent, the the soldier comes back to the therapy center and kills everybody. And that's not a what's that? Who's that for? Like,
Lesson learned.
I would
he
love
doesn't like
Tom
become a
King.
better person. He doesn't like sit and realize, oh, okay, I get it. The things, that I keep locked inside do have an effect on the outside world, and I should treat myself, my mind, and my heart better, and thus the world will be, nope. I'm gonna kill people, then I'm gonna lie
And-
about it, then I'm
and
gonna
himself.
run back and delete. Oh yeah, and then kill myself, delete everything, paint with their blood, right? Paint with
Yeah.
their blood on the wall.
Jesus.
It's like a good thing we've gotten rid of the stigma of soldiers with PTSD. Like I'm really really glad we managed to clean our hands of that. Absolutely bonkers. But yeah, man, it's been an entire road of memories. I can't believe we've done as much as we've done. But now I'm almost motivated to do even more. Screw that. We're doing even
Yes.
more now. We're doing even more now. We're doing and I couldn't see us doing even more without you two guys.
George is having his Wolf of Wall Street moment.
Yeah.
I'm not fucking leaving.
I'm not fucking leaving.
Nope.
The
And I'm
show
also
goes up.
and I'm having my Bill O'Reilly moment. We'll do it live. Fuck it.
Oh,
We'll do
no.
it live. We'll do it
Don't
live.
have more. Don't have too many of those, please.
No. That's the only thing I ever want in common with that man. But yeah, you guys now y'all do this. Now y'all podcasters. Y'all do this even when y'all not on major issues, which is so fucking cool to see that camaraderie grow and see the that show grow that you guys are doing over there, Dirt Sheet Radio. Check it out, people.
Yes.
It's pretty damn cool.
Yes, I like it. I like it.
And I, as somebody who has had you guys on, it's also cool to see you, Yogi, kind of take the reins as now a host who now has to delegate, change subjects, change schedules, record at whatever, make sure there's a thumbnail and all that kind of stuff. Like
It's
a lot,
not
but
easy.
but
Sometimes
got
you
it.
just fall asleep.
Sometimes.
What happened? I was asleep.
That happens to me a lot. That happens to me a lot.
You don't know how much it kills me when John falls asleep in his Western time zone. When
Yeah.
I'm over here at 2:30 in the morning, like, John, yo, John.
Hello.
It isn't.
Yeah.
It isn't for the week. I know. So there's been occasions where on Eastern time, me and Yogi's been recording at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning
Yeah.
on certain days. It's been absolutely bonkers, but worth every minute of it. And what I love is that whenever we do these conversations, the energy is always up. The feeling is always mutual respect, love, appreciation. I know definitely from my end, and I think the episodes lock that energy in. So if you are listening to this and you need a pep in your step, just go back and listen to some of these episodes. These are friends talking and reminiscing and bullshitting and teasing and all that kind of stuff about some of the silliest stuff to go on, but also some of the most serious stuff to go on.
If you, you, George, who created this wonderful place for us, if you can recommend an episode for these wonderful people to listen to, which one would you recommend?
I don't know about a single one. Like I said, I think with
No.
GT,
No.
He's basically what he wants you to
I
do.
need
George,
you
is
to
to pick a
choose one
child.
child
oh, you
To
want me to
live.
pick a child?
to live.
I think no, that is fair. If I have to pick a single episode, if I have, what is it? Sophie's Choice here. We cut the
Yeah.
episode in half. No, if I had to pick a single episode, I say the episode you guys should be listening to is episode 300. Stay present, stay current.
Oh, you
God.
son of a.
It has all the people I love on it. Make sure you listen to
Disgusting.
the episode.
Disgusting.
Sign DJ. That's it. That's how you get.
Oh man, I'm getting you a Christian shirt. Worked, everyone.
I learned it from you, Dwayne. I learned it from you.
Oh.
Terramana.
Terramana, baby. Terramana.
Oh,
I've actually got to go. There's a couple more stops I have to make before I return this mystical item. The good news is I did manage to record all this, and I will be putting all this out as part of episode
as he often
300. So
does somehow.
Yes, congratulations on being on episode 300. Thank you guys for being on every episode you've been on thus far. The bad news is, and I guess it's only for one of you guys, Greg, I don't know how to get you back to the Bronx.
How do you mean you know how to get me back?
Look. I will come back. I will come
What?
back. You
Pay
just
for the plane at least,
Yeah.
because this
What-
is a military base. And,
Son of a crime!
I'm not supposed to have people here unauthorized.
we know he's a big fan of Sam Wilson, so we're good with that. Like,
I
there's
thought
some
if you
military
guys
connection
both
there.
left through the portal, it'd be fine. But now I don't know how we're gonna
Now
do
he
this.
has to explain this.
Exactly.
We are
Look,
way too brown to speak to the military people.
This is not
But
gonna
at
end
the-
well.
Hey, at the very least, look, you guys can do Dirty Radio Local now. Look at that.
We wanted to.
It's about coming up with solutions. Anyway, I'm gonna zoom on out of here. Love you guys. Thank you guys so much for everything you've done as far as major issues. And here's to another 300. Let me see. I'm supposed to do this some way somehow. I think it's working. Whoa! Oh man! Oh, Aaron, Rob, is that you?
Yes. This is very. Hey, Don.
Hey, I mean, hi. I didn't mean to drop in on you like this. So sorry. You seem to be enjoying a delicious meal, and I'm kind of. I think I might be in some mashed potatoes currently, but I'm glad I have you here. Or I guess I'm glad I am here. I'm going through a bit of a crisis.
Really?
We're on episode 300 right now. We're recording this right now.
Really?
And yeah, I basically, I've been kind of blah. 300 episodes of Major Issues Podcast has been so much work. It's been a labor of love, but sometimes I wonder if it has any value outside of myself. I know I love it. I love it like a kid. And Countess Maximus has given me this sling ring, and he's allowing me to go to some of the best co-hosts that have ever been a part of the Major Issues Podcast and kind of get their take on making it to 300 episodes. And you not only are an absolutely great co-host, but you are the last recruit, like the last big recruit on this road to 300. And we couldn't have gotten to 300 without you, quite frankly. So I just wanted you on, wanted to kind of talk about how you got roped into this crazy world of the Major Issues Podcast and just talk about some memories that we've had here. I mean, we even managed to have someone very close to you on the cast along with us when we covered Secret Invasion. Like we've done some long episodes. We've done some episodes where I'm absolutely miserable and you're like, it wasn't that bad. It's been a labor of love. It's been a labor of love, but what's your story when it comes to the Major Issues Podcast?
My story, well, besides my dinner and the random sling ring appearance, it's been pretty amazing,
Yeah.
Like, man, I can't even count how many episodes I've been on, but every episode I was on, it felt special in each individual way. Especially all the the topics we tackled, all the things we talked about, the people that we did it with, like the hosted each episode with.
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
fun experience. Like it just, I want to do more.
Yeah, we were able to cover so much. We've done a bunch of the tier factor episodes where we're trying to rank certain things. We've you've come forth with all the Star Wars knowledge, which has been really, really cool. You know, now we're tackling stuff like Ahsoka and stuff, but we were having these conversations when all that stuff was in production. Um, it is with you on the cast that we introduce the concept of covering news, of the latest and greatest, of the rumors and the salt, the grain of salt emoji. You know, basically is born when you join the podcast. Was it hard looking for news? Is it hard looking for news? How do you see the reporting aspect of all this?
Oh man, the reporting aspect of it's like it's not enough time for the news. There's always something going on in the Marvel world, DC, comics, anime. Just there's
Yeah,
always something to talk about, and having this platform to do it on is amazing. Especially like in this time and age, like you said, being like a Star Wars fan. Like right now, we're eating as Star Wars fans. Like if you
yeah.
had told me 10 years ago we would have Star Wars TV shows and they would have slapped and hit as hard as they do now, no, I would have told you like stay off the spice, stop drinking too much blue milk. You know, you've been at the cantina too long, man. You need to go home and stay off the death sticks. Think about your life.
When I think of you on the podcast, besides a bunch of great appearances, something that I'm always gonna have locked in is our journey through Black Adam. Like
Oh man.
from the rumors of what was going on to, you know, production issues and us talking about it, us laughing over the fact that we thought Dwayne didn't know who the hell Black Adam was. And then that coming out to be true, us reviewing it here on this show. Like that whole adventure takes place with you in it. That you got to see me lose more and more respect for the whole process as it continued. That was a
Literally.
that was a hell of an adventure there. I
Man.
Yeah, and we've covered some great TV shows. We covered some possibly, you know, not so great TV shows as a part of
Ooh.
this. We've broken some news. We've anything that comes to your mind?
Like my favorite part like news that's ever broken.
Yeah.
Man, as the Marvel boy at heart, the Marvel fanatic that I am, it probably my favorite announcement was just the announcement of Phase 5 and 6.
Oh
Just because
yeah.
the sheer amount of like content that's coming out on Marvel's side, it's orgasmic.
Bro, do you
It
remember that weekend? That weekend
was
was
crazy.
bonkers.
It
Absolutely
was crazy.
bonkers.
Every channel, every page had massive views just because everyone was uploading all those slides of all the the movie logos.
Yeah.
Just oh my god.
We dealt with the She-Hulk hate as
Ooh.
as part of that. Do you remember that on the Facebook?
She-Hulk hate, Love and Thunder hate,
Yeah,
the mixed
yeah.
reviews of Quantum Mania. Oh my god.
I'm trying to drag Jonathan Majors. They still Brie Larson posts go crazy on the on Facebook. I don't know why. People like to talk about her. People like to talk about Amber Rose. I mean Amber Rose, Amber Heard. Amber Rose. Uh yeah, so like we've had to combat some parts of the fandom when it comes to certain things. Kind of state it plainly when people try to rile up about the wrong things, because you know I get upset on this podcast every so often. But some comic book, I won't even say they're our fans. I think they're just random comic book people that be out and about that try to find any reason to hate on anything. And we never
Literally,
bring
man.
that energy here, even when I don't necessarily like a project. And I don't think you've ever had a bad word, even if you didn't dig something that we've covered.
Well, it's hard to have bad words about things that's like they don't have to make, you know? We could just be sitting in this
Yeah,
void of just nothing. So like I appreciate any and all things that's comic book related coming out from the boys, Invincible, Marvel, DC. Like I appreciate it all. Star Wars included, anime. I just have nothing but appreciation for our fandoms. I can't hate on something because, they don't have to make it and we could just be sitting here without it. So I'd
Yeah.
rather have it, regardless of the content, because they're putting the effort in to make it for us, the fans. So why complain? Why hate on it?
Yeah, 100%. And that attitude is infectious. So, thanks for bringing that over to the Major Issues podcast, because sometimes it can get a bit bleak with some of this stuff that has dropped lately. But we've always found a way to be excited about things like Kang all the time. We was Kangs. Scroll ass Rhodey, something we called right here on this podcast. Hashtag SAR.
We did call that. We called that like a year and a half, like a year or two. Like, how long ago did we call that scroll ass Rhodey?
Scroll ass Rhodey, because his ass is a scroll. They gonna show it. You gonna see it. Everybody gonna get mad, but that's what it's gonna be. So funny.
We called the hell out of that.
Yeah, we did. We did. Is there any episode? Now, you came in last year, or was it 2021?
I believe was it 2021?
It might have been 2021, bro. I'm telling you, 300 episodes like this thing. Sometimes I lose track. I've gone back to look at some of the things that we've covered. We covered so many different things. I know you joined the Comic Book Clique in 2021, so it leads me to believe that you joined the podcast in 2021 as well.
Yeah.
So I mean that's great. But since that time, if you can go back in time, is there any episode you wish you would have been on? Is there any topic that you've seen either recently or before that you're like, dang, I wish they would have snagged me up for that episode?
Ooh. Oh man, there's so many 300 episodes, man. There's so many topics that I've seen you guys cover that I wish I was a part of. I just want to be a part of just the future. Looking back at all the episodes, I know there's gonna be more to be made. 300 more episours. Like Major Issues forever. Major Issues forever, Morty. Forever. 9 seasons.
3,000 episodes, Morty. We're hopefully, yeah. I mean, if we do that, then we're gonna last longer than Justin Roiland did on Rick and Morty.
Damn, shots fired. Shots fired.
We're here to have fun. My feet are in mashed potatoes. It's a whole thing. But now with the future, we still have the MCU out. Like, is there anything you want, like in your head, you want to snag? Is there any stories that haven't been covered that you're like, oh man, you know what? This needs to get on the schedule. We need to get on this.
We need. Oh man, this is literally so much I want to talk about when it comes to the podcast. Like, I want to talk about Star Wars. I want to talk about the Celestials. I want to talk about Secret Wars with the Invasion. Like, I want to talk about just everything, because there's so much coming out that people need to know about to have some kind of y'all need to have some of this backstory to some of these big movies coming out soon. Like, I need to know why did Balin stay off on Ahsoka? Spoiler alert, he stayed.
Yeah.
he stayed behind with Shin,
Yep.
What's all this leading to? I need to know. I know what's all leading to. We know what's leading to.
Similarly, when we watch Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, we are watching it as an episode of a show. We're not watching it as a standalone film on its own, right? Because we know it's going somewhere. It's maybe it should be criticized as a standalone film, but we know at this point that everything MCU is just an episode in the big show that they're doing. Right. So it's hard to take one episode and be like, this is terrible. It's all over. This is absolutely garbage. So yeah, I'm super interested in that. We have a brand new era of DC coming. It's around the corner. You remember we have a whole host of DC films that we'll be covering, television shows. Is there anything in the James Gunniverse that you'd be happy to tackle? New Superman, new Batman, Creature Commando.
Considering what I have on, I'm super excited to cover the new Superman Legacy. I want to see this new Superman. Like, it's just but something with legacy characters. Like, aside from Wolverine, we've seen so many people play Batman and the Peter Parkers and the Hulks of it all. This is just another notch in the legacy of Superman. I just want to see this character, this actor bring this character to life. and I can't wait to like talk about it to see because it's the new Superman that's going to be leading this new generation or franchise for the next 10 years. Going forward, he's going to have a lot on the shoulders.
Ironically, I think he has like the lowest bar. I feel like if he
Really?
could just, but just because of what we've had in the last 5 years when it comes to live action Superman, like he got killed in his second film, and in his first one he didn't want to save nobody. Like he had to save people behind his father's back. So it's like,
Right.
I feel like this new Superman has a pretty low bar to set. I mean, I've basically loved every other Superman I've seen. Superman and Lois.
Right. Superman Lois is great.
My Adventures of Superman. Have you caught that yet?
Oh yeah, with Quaid the Superman.
Yeah,
I never
how
saw
good is
his
that?
wholesome ass.
Yeah. He's doing absolute god awful things on The Boys. And then he comes over and does like the sweetest
The
little
sweetest,
anime show.
wholesomest Clark version of Superman ever.
That's something I'd like to talk about. I thought that show did very, like, it's so obvious now, right? But like, I was very surprised at how well the Superman lore works with anime.
Right. No, it seemed like something that it should have been an anime long ago, like around the time of like the animated series of Batman and Superman. Like just from how the cinematography of the show, it deserved an anime facelift. Just in general, DC and Marvel they need to do something anime wise because you can get away a lot with anime versus cartoons. Just the animation pops, the music is better, the fight scenes are better, and better, and overall sometimes a better story.
Yeah, and patience. They usually have a lot of patience to let characters build, to let arcs grow.
Right.
More so than the common American television show where it's like, oh, that was a good season, canceled. We're doing something else. We're going back to the drawing board. So that's been absolutely great. I can't wait to see what the future of Major Issues is, to be honest. I think it's funny because I started this as somebody who had very limited knowledge of the things I wanted to cover. I started it to almost kind of give me a reason to research these things. And then ultimately you go through this speed force of information, this cosmic knowledge, and you find kindred spirits. You find people. It's like that Spider-Man meme with the Spider-Man thing from Spider-Verse where you see the spider sense. And he's like, you're like me.
Oh, yeah.
You're like me. That's what it was like when we first got on this podcast together and started, shooting the thwip, if you will. I like
that metaphor. I like that analogy, man.
Yeah. I feel I'm grateful that you were able to join this team and you were able to help the Major Issues podcast, and I'm hoping that you're open to being part of Major Issues future. That's something that I may have not been 100% on prior to talking to all you fine people, but I didn't realize how much this might have meant to you guys.
It means a lot, Don, because I've never known this side of media until like I was a part of it. So it's just been a great privilege to be a part of this group, to be on the podcast with you, despite you landing in my mashed potatoes in the middle of dinner. But no, it's just been a great I heard. It's just overall it's been a great experience.
Yeah. And like you've taken to it like a duck to water. And also, I mean, let's let the full cat out of the bag. You're primarily the reason why we're doing so well across the social media boards. If I can kind of sort of toot your horn if you won't put your mouth to it. Your knowledge and your networking skills and the vast amount of contacts that you were able to make through this comic book world. It's ironic that in your head you may perceive us leading you down this media alley when simultaneously you've led us down the social media alley. We had the product, you knew how to distribute it, and now we're teaching you how to make the product. You understand?
Sounds like a Breaking Bad reference.
Hey, we gotta cook, Jesse.
We gotta cook, Jesse. The drugs, Jesse.
And we're always cooking, man. We're always cooking here. Any any last thoughts when it comes to Major Issues 300, and the future of what this could be?
My final thoughts. Oh man, just guys, look forward to some of the craziest, funniest, jaw-dropping content you'll see in the future, and that I'll be a part of it.
Yes.
Bring y'all the dopest news, the craziest meet. Well, yeah, no, the craziest breaking news, the craziest memes on the social media side, and
Yeah.
just in general, just having a fun experience doing it all.
That's
And I hope
yeah.
you guys, and I hope you guys are here for the ride too.
Well, I need you to know before I try to see how the heck the physics on this work, that you are worthy, definitely a worthy member of the team. Thank you for being on 300 episodes now, but obviously we'll be
Woo!
doing 300 episodes in the future. And yeah, so I'm gonna just do this thing. It's not gonna be a clean
Oh,
out,
okay.
but I'm going to see if yep, that's working, and I think I see something a bit familiar there. So I will see you soon, good friend.
All right, bro.
What the bro? This sling ring is the greatest thing you've ever given me. This is the greatest thing to ever come to this podcast. I just went all over. I got to speak to Yogi. I got to speak to GT. I got to speak to Dan, the comic book man. I got to speak to B Roke. I got to speak to A Rob, the Marvel God. All people who have done multiple episodes of this podcast and have given me such a perspective on how other people feel about what we do here. I guess I'm.
Isn't that? But why are you? But why are you
Well, it
slim?
was a lot. I went through various different dimensions, at the very least, various different states. And I'm only acclimated to my very air conditioned home in Florida. So being going out and about to some of these other places is a bit stressful. But I definitely got some perspective. I definitely got some more of an idea. Um, I
Did
can
you?
on
Did
occasion
you find?
be a bit rough about the stuff that we do here. Sometimes you can't see the forest for the trees. If all you've done is kind of push forward, sometimes you don't have time to stop and smell the roses. And I didn't realize that as we were doing these episodes, we were planting seeds for the garden that we have now, the garden that extends to all the people that show us love on social media, all the people who comment and review the podcast and do work to help spread it, to help spread our audience and stuff. I didn't realize how much this meant to certain people, and I mean that's a great thing. I want to apologize for my less than ecstatic nature prior to all this, but yeah, I'm ready for
and and for also putting portals in the middle of everybody's
Yeah, I don't
space.
necessarily know how to close those. I just assume once I walk through, they close. I'm not 100% sure.
They close on their own. I think so too. Some of those may be open, but nobody's walked through yet, so I think they're closed.
So now what? The next 300 episodes? Is that what's next
Indeed.
on the docket?
The next 300 episodes. On to 600.
On to 600 episodes. Well, I kind of like how that sounds, to be honest. I'm grateful. I'm grateful to have this outlet, and I hope to be on my best behavior, because I think that the podcast deserves the best version of me, so we can put out the best version of this podcast. Sometimes
This is true.
Sometimes even Superman needs his cape tugged, and he needs to be reminded that he's Superman. So thank you guys for being so supportive and so I can feel the love, is what I'll say. Is I can feel the love. Is there anything you wanted to say in regards to the Major Issues podcast before we get out of here for the 300th time?
Indeed. As you, I'm super appreciative for the guys. You know what I mean? They have gone above and beyond. So I would like to also give them rub too. because there was a time where I too was, was a little bit less than, and I kind of still am. Things change, but I'm also glad the guys were able to be there for you and with you. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, and these are friendships that I've grown. These are friendships that I cherish, and that have extended past just talking on the podcast. So yeah, definitely one of the better things to come out of here is the friends we've made along the way, and sometimes that's the real adventure, right?
indeed.
Thank you for being able to come and do this when you can. I know you're a busy man, you're a family man. Me and you were having these conversations before a microphone was ever introduced. I mean, you were watching these films and TV shows and telling our silly, stupid jokes before major issues was ever a thing. So I definitely wanted to thank you for not only making sure I started this, even if you weren't ready for other levels of this, you definitely made sure I started it, and you were with me for the beginning.
Of course, bro. Listen, if I'd have knew what you was cooking up when we had that little talk, man, oof,
I don't think I would have believed myself if I would have
cosmic
came back,
knowledge,
if I would
bro.
have slinged ring to the day we started this and said, "Oh yeah, you're gonna do this 300 times, and you're gonna get better at it," because that first episode is a little rough for me to listen to now. Now that I'm a bit better at this, now that I have less pauses and less breaks, that first episode, man, you could tell we were pretty nervous. We were talking about.
And there's still video footage. There's still video footage on the CBC page from the
Oh
beginning
yeah, I
days,
keep those up forever. I never want to forget where I came from. And yeah, like I look back at um, all the work and all the joy. There's a lot of work that gets put into starting every episode of this podcast, making sure I am the most knowledgeable, making sure not the most knowledgeable, but I have some knowledge. So I'm not just talking, out of places I shouldn't talk.
Right, of course.
And sometimes I forget that past that level of work, there is a lot of love. That's one thing I've constantly felt here on this podcast. Is a lot of love, even if we're
100%.
talking about things we don't necessarily like. It always comes back to love. Comes back to love for the thing that we love, which is comic books and the latest greatest things to come to them. So, with that being said, again, thank you guys for listening to the 300th episode of the Major Issues podcast. Hopefully, we get to 300 more episodes soon. Fingers crossed. We're still trying to go to the moon. So let me tell you guys how you can help support us for the 300th time. If you want to reach out to us on social media, go to facebook.com/ComicBookClique. You can go to Instagram @ComicBookClique. You can use the hashtag ComicBookClique to talk about the newest, hottest, latest, and greatest things to come to comic books and comic book media. We're at Major Issues CBC on Twitter, and we're at Major Issues CBC on Twitch. I guess I should be saying we're at Major Issues CBC on X. I don't know if I'm ever going to get used to that. We do this each and every week, free of charge, free content. And I've been talking to some members of the clique, and we are thinking about other avenues for content. So get ready. This is only ramping up. It's only getting better. And I am fueled by the energy and love again of those who have participated and have shown that this is the place I need to be, and this is where a lot of the good stuff that we're hoping to get done is going to get done. So if you don't want to miss the boat, think about supporting us. Go to comicbookclique.com and hit that support CBC button. It'll take you to our Patreon, patreon.com/CBC Clubhouse. And for as little as 10 cents a day, $3 a month, you can help us keep our lights on here and afford the hardware and the software we need to keep producing content. These microphones ain't cheap. These, recorder isn't cheap. Editing software isn't cheap, etc. and so forth. I'm not trying to, make you feel guilty about it. I'm just saying that any bit counts. And thank you to those who have donated, who have donated, who have helped out, because it has helped us out tremendously. So thank you so much to anyone who's given a single dollar, or maybe you want to give a kind word. Review the podcast wherever podcasts are found: Podbean, Stitcher, the Apple Podcast app, TuneFind, Spotify, YouTube. Wherever podcasts are found, that's where the Major Issues podcast is found. And you can help other people find us by giving us a 5-star review. So consider doing that. and helping our audience grow. We do this each and every week, and we do it for you guys. So consider doing that. You can buy some merchandise if you go to our ComicBookClique.com. It'll take you to our TeePublic store if you hit Shop CBC. You could buy a design exclusively by me, and not only do you get to walk the streets with an exclusive Comic Book Clique design, but we get a kickback from every single purchase made on that site. That money comes back to us, and again, we put it back into this big machine. But thank you so much for 300 episodes, and here we go into the future. But my name is George Serrano, aka The Don.
I am the Cloudus Maximus, always the Cloudus Maximus.
And this has been our 300th episode of the Major Issues Podcast. And one more time for the people in the back. Remember, whether you're new to the Clique or true to the Clique, an aspiring Kryptonian coming from the ball pit, or go way back with me like Big Sis, you're a comic book newbie, a trade paperback veteran, a master of the mystic arts. I don't care. On behalf of the Clique, thank you all for your love and support. Thank you for allowing us to have this outlet. Thank you for the memories we've made and for the ones still left to be made. If we've ever made your day better, if we ever made you smile during a thunderstorm or made you laugh while you're at rock bottom, I need you to know I do this for all of you, and I do this for all the people who love me and aren't here anymore. I need you to know that you are magic. Know that you are the light. Know that you are the reason we do this. And the world is better because you're in it. But always remember that you, yes, you, are worthy.